Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Plus. For those hoping to opt for a higher pension, there is more clarity. After extending the last date for filing application for a higher pension to June 26th, in a fresh circular, the Employees Provident Fund Organization, EPFO, has clarified how EPS contribution will be calculated. It has also directed field officers to start calculation of dues as well as the corresponding adequate or inadequate balance in the Provident Fund, which may need to be diverted to the pension fund. Now, employers' contribution for members who sign up for higher pension and are founded eligible will be 9.49%, up from 8.33%. An additional contribution of 1.16% will come from within the overall 12% contribution of the employers and not the employee. Therefore, going forward, employers' EPF share will stand reduced to 2.51%, as opposed to 3.67% they were paying earlier. On the show, we will be discussing the new EPFO clarifications that have come in, what it means for subscribers of higher pension, and what can they expect in form of higher pension. Joining me at this point in time is KK Jalan, who is the former EPFO commissioner. Also with us on the show is Preeti Chandrasekhar, who is a business leader at Mercer. Appreciate you both taking your time out. Also with me in the studio is my colleague Suyash. I want to quickly begin by asking you, Mr. Jalan, we understand that there is more clarity now on higher pension, but for the benefit of our audience, who should apply for the higher pension and who is eligible?
Eligibility was earlier given in the earlier circular that those people, naturally, EPS is only after 1995, those people who were in the service at that point of time and could have opted for the higher pension, they could only opt for the higher pension. Especially that was the closing year was, or the main year was 2014 in question.
So if I join the workforce, let's say in 2017, I can't opt for this higher pension scheme?
If you haven't 2017, if you have not joined at 2014, 2017, have you opted for at that point of time? Then there was a scheme. At that point of time, have you opted for a higher pension scheme at that point of time or not? If you have not, then you have no right to exercise the option now.
But I came in the workforce post 2014 only. I joined the workforce after 2014.
Yeah, post 2014, there was in the law itself, in the scheme itself, there was an option.
Okay.
You would have opted for at that point of time itself.
Okay. All right. I want to come to Preeti at this point in time quickly. Preeti, if you could help us understand, a lot of people are currently struggling whether they should opt for the higher pension or not. And let's say if I'm in the age bracket of 35 to 40, am I the right kind of person who should be opting, as opposed to if I'm in the age bracket of 50 plus? So people are sort of divided. They're not really aware of who should be opting, who should not be opting. Is it the right thing to do? Your quick suggestion on these age specific brackets and who all should be opting for higher pension?
Sure. So the first thing that I would like to say is that you have to compare a lump sum with a pension. Now, depending upon what stage in my life I am in, and depending upon what I have planned with my PF amount, I can then decide my personal circumstance whether it makes sense for me to be able to get access to the lump sum on retirement, or do I prefer to lock that money in the form of a pension? That's the first point. Second is the thing of how far ahead is my retirement going to look like. Like, let's say I'm somebody who's 35-year-old, then if I have to actually, it depends upon how many years of service I will put in to be eligible for pension, and then my pension starts at the age of 58 or 60. So there is a longer horizon for me in that sense. But if I'm pretty sure that I'll continue in employment and hence I will be able to avail of the higher pension, then I should opt for it. But specifically my personal circumstance, if I have planned to use my lump sum provident fund in some shape or form, let's say, finance my child's higher education, or some marriage of my child, etc., or maybe, something towards my house, then obviously I will prefer a lump sum as compared to a pension. Okay. But a pension is a pension, at the end of the day.
Right, absolutely. Mr. Jalan, you were one of the architects, sir, of higher pension. So I have to ask, ask you, because you've said it in multiple platforms, that everybody who is eligible for higher pension should opt for higher pension. And so do you agree with what Preeti has to say, that it really depends on what your circumstances are?
Yeah, I agree with Preeti. It really depends upon your circumstances as to whether you want to opt for higher pension or not. And secondly, now there are a lot of pension avenues. Under IRDA, there are a lot many schemes which are coming for the higher pension. It is not that the EPFO scheme is the best scheme. It's not necessarily true. So therefore, there can be other schemes also which can be looked at.
So then what are the advantages? So if I'm comparing different pension schemes, what are the advantages if I opt for EPFO? Why should one opt for EPFO?
You see, EPS 1995, which is for the employees less than 15,000, that's the best pension scheme, because you get the family pension also. And you get pension for the children if something happens to you during the service. Therefore, that is the best service, that is the best pension around. But in the case of this pension, perhaps family pension will be given or not, it is still being considered. I think the rules are yet to come, or the procedure is yet to come as to what type of the pension they will be giving to the people who are eligible for this type of pension.
Okay. Sir, a quick question on computation of dues, because there's some clarity that has come in now as far as computation of dues is concerned for those who are actually going to opt for higher pension at this point in time. We understand that part of it will come from your PF kitty and the remaining will have to be given by you through various means and modes. Could you help us understand the formula for computation of dues?
Simple. It is simple. It's basically you can mathematically you can find it jumbled up. It is very, very simple.
Okay.
8.33% of your provident fund was to go to EPS, in the sense employees pension scheme, because if it has not gone in the past, it will have to go to the employees pension scheme. Government was contributing 1.16% for the people who were having salary less than 15,000. In this case, your higher pension people, that 1.16% will also have to be contributed by the persons. That means total contribution becomes 8.33 plus 1.16, 9.49. That contribution will have to go. Either it goes from your PF account or contributed by you personally, one and the same thing as far as the EPFO is concerned.
Mr. Jalan, the extra additional 1.16% contribution that will come from the employer's share will be after 2014, September 2014. Is my understanding regarding that correct?
Suresh, it is your money. 1.16%, it is employers, you call employers or your money. It is your money. It has gone to your PF. So therefore, it is your money. It is basically employees' money. Whether employees is getting a lump sum or employees now contributing to EPS, that is the one and the same thing. Now, Preeti has said that you want to have the lump sum, then you have 1.16% in your kitty. Otherwise, if you want to have the pension, that 1.16% will go to the EPFO kitty, and then the higher pension will be given to you.
So, but this 1.16% additional contribution is not from 1995, right? It's from 2014 onwards?
It is from the day you want to become eligible for the pension. If it is you are an employee from 1999, then 1.16% is to be contributed from 1999.
Right.
It is not only 2014.
So, but as per the circular,
from the day you want to become eligible for the pension.
Alright, sir. So, as per the circular, it says that 1.16% of the employer's contribution on higher pay, which is above 15,000, will affect from September 1, 2014. So,
because that is the date. That is the date.
Right.
That is the date in the initial circular also.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the date in the initial circular also.
Okay. Preeti, so as far as, 1.16 is concerned, that will happen from 2014 onward. How about, if you have an employee from 2011, you will have to contribute 1.16% from 2011. Okay. So what sort of retrospective liability am I looking at, Preeti?
See, this is so the liability from your side what clarity has emerged is what is going to be the cost for opting for the higher pension. So that clarity has emerged in terms of how much you need to contribute, from what date, how will the interest be certain. Everything is clear now reasonably, and that will be there's a process in place to be able to get it verified by the field officer at the EPFO. What is tricky for us is, I know what is a cost associated with the benefit, but I don't have clarity on what the benefit itself is going to be. I think that is a greater challenge for us, because we are aware that as a scheme stands currently, there is a significant deficit from a long-term perspective. So clearly, for the scheme to be sustainable, the EPFO still has the freedom to be able to change the benefit formula. And I think that is really the tricky portion for any person who wants to opt for a higher pension.
Preeti, EPFO has still not provided any clarification with regards to how much higher pension will I be getting. So according to their circular, it will come in subsequent orders. So if I don't know at the end of the day how much pension I'll be making after my retirement, a decision to opt for higher pension, how can I go for it, without really understanding?
It's a very interesting point, for both Mr. Jalan and Preeti at this point. If I were to make a decision, I should at least know what money I'm going to get. Otherwise, it becomes very tough to make that decision.
I fully agree with you. It's not clear as yet. Preeti is absolutely right. It's not yet clear because, yes, EPFO is still thinking of as to what way the Supreme Court judgment can be interpreted and the pension could be given. The so-called an adherence to the Supreme Court order can be made, and without making any dent on the EPFO the fund as such.
Mr. Jalan, just to clarify, the earlier formula of payout, which was last 5 years of actual salary into multiplied by the years of service divided by 70, that does not stand?
Would be very, very difficult to sustain the same.
Yes,
would be difficult
because as we were talking about earlier or before the show, if you have worked for 33 years and then you get additional 2 years of grace period after 20 years of service, essentially you will be taking home 50% of your basic salary as pension.
Presently, friends, for the people, employees who have paid less than 15,000, if 33 years of service and 2 years extra, they get rather 54% of their the basic pay.
So
it is
more
not
than
only
half.
50, more than half. It's 50. It is 50% is only at 33. It's more than half. 35. It can be more than half also.
So, sir, we expect
But it will
this,
not be.
yes.
Perhaps it is not sustainable for people like you.
Okay.
That's
I have to ask at this point in time, sir, is it safe to assume for someone who's earning approximately less than 15,000 at this point in time that they would at least be getting 50% of the basic salary?
That is what they get.
Okay.
That is what they get now.
Okay.
And not just them who's getting the salary. After their passing, their spouse will get 50% till their lifetime, and their children, 2 children up to the age of 25 will get 25% each. So that is also another point we need to mention.
Okay, could you also help us understand at this point in time, Mr. Jalan, with a step-by-step process for those who are hoping to opt for higher pension? I'll tell you why I'm asking this question, sir, because a lot of people are still struggling in absence of enough paperwork. They have to fetch documents from their previous employers, and it sort of feels like it's very difficult for one to opt for a higher pension if they're hoping to do so today.
I think the major problem is you have mentioned. I don't know about the benefits, therefore I have a problem whether to opt for it or not. That's the major problem. Then second is the procedural issue. Procedural issue, I think any EPFO office, if somebody travels to the EPFO office, that would be able to help. Because now we have the e-governance model in the EPFO to a greater extent, therefore the people would be able to help. I would advise anybody who wants to do that and he has a confusion regarding filling the form, he can go to the EPFO office and get the form filled up there itself.
Mr. Jalan, I also want another clarification. The deadline for applying for higher pension was extended from May 3 to June 26. But then EPFO in its May 9 clarification said that you will have about 3 months of time to submit a consent whether the money can be transferred from your PF account to the EPS account. So what's the relevance of the June 26 deadline now? So what do I have to do by June 26 essentially?
You see, you are to opt for whether you want to be opt for the higher pension or not. That is what you are supposed to do by 26 as on today.
So just to clarify
of course,
again,
the money transfer will take place on a subsequent date.
All right, sir. So June 26, I only need to submit a joint consent form from my employer and
it is the date of consent, which was earlier 4th of March or 5th of March. The first time when it was announced, it was 5th of March.
Okay. Preeti, I want to bring you in here and on the point that, I was asking Mr. Jalan to in fact elaborate, and that is the step-by-step process, because a lot of people on Twitter, on various social media platforms are talking about how difficult it is to get all documents in place from your current employer. It's relatively easy, but from your past employers. So what sort of documentation does one need to be able to apply for higher pension? And also, just on the specific point of 26th of June, so as of 26th of June, I'm only declaring whether I need higher pension. I still have 2 to 3 more months to state whether I want my contribution to come from my PF kitty to my EPS kitty. So if I decline to do that, what's the point of saying yes or no by 26th of June?
So what I'm supposed to do as a member by 26th of June is really go to the portal, opt for the higher pension. And also the process says that you have to upload certain your passbooks, etc. So all that needs to be done. And after that, to my understanding, the EPFO will actually ensure that, so if you log into your portal, if you have 3-4 employers, you'll actually get the details of those employers. So the first thing for me is to make sure that nothing's got missed out there. So that's important, because if I have moved from an exempt status or exempt provident fund to an unexempt, then quite likely that some cases the records may not be appropriately reflected in the portal. So that's one thing that I need to sort out. But after that, my understanding is that, and Mr. Jalan can actually add, that then the onus of providing the wage details is on the employer. So if I have had 3 employers, all 3 employers have to give the wage details, and they will be verified by the field officer. And basically the wage details of the entire period for which I exceeded the cap. So till June 2001, I think the cap was 5,000. 2014, it was 6,500, and from 2014 onwards, it's 15,000. So it will say, see, up to the cap, it's already got contributed to EPS. So it's only the balance that needs to get contributed at 8.33% plus 1.16, as we talked about before, of the basic is what needs to get transferred to the EPS scheme. And plus the interest would be the interest declared as per EPFO. And if I belong to an exempt fund, then if the exempt fund has declared a higher rate of interest, then the higher rate of interest is what needs to be calculated. And all this is the one which gets verified by the field officer, and they confirm that if the dues are transferred from VPS, and basically check if there's sufficient balance. And if the balance is insufficient, then they will ask for more balance. So this is the process that will follow in terms of what is it that needs to get transferred. Okay. So Mr. Jalan can add anything from his perspective.
Preeti is absolutely right in understanding.
So, Mr. Jalan, I have to submit the paperwork, I have to furnish all the documents that are required, but the actual calculation of the dues and along with the interest, is that also being done by me, or EPFO will help me understand that how much amount of contribution will be transferred or whatever the shortfall is?
You see, naturally, to a greater extent, we would assume that you and your employer will do all the calculations to a greater extent. But yes, EPFO is definitely, that is mentioned in the circular also, EPFO office will also help you in calculating that. But naturally, the details on the pay you were getting, because you were contributing only say at 15,000, and at that time, what was your pay, that that information is with you. That information is not with EPFO at all. So that information will have to be provided by you and your employer.
Okay. Okay, sir, you've been a part of EPFO as a Central PF Commissioner. One of the constant problems that all of us face with EPFO is the portal, and a lot of glitches in the portal, very difficult to open the portal at times. And, it's all reduced to the fact that it is a government website and therefore problems are inevitable. Are we hoping that the EPFO
Not
portal will be
necessarily.
able to hold up?
I wouldn't agree to that statement. Just that it is a government site and therefore the problem should always happen. No,
Okay.
not true.
Mr.
Yeah,
Jalan.
it's unfortunate. We tried. For example, I tried introducing the e-governance model, all the SMS messages and other things in 2014-15 when I joined, 2013 to 2016, lot of changes. But yes, our capacity was limited. We had to buy new servers. We had ordered new servers. I don't know whether those servers had come or not. We needed that server capacity to a very great extent. We wanted to update our systems also.
Okay.
Now, naturally, we have now 5-6 crores of people who are continuously on the site. Therefore, we need to have a good data management systems within itself also. Perhaps we have not been able to cater to that. That's the problem.
Right, and I'm not resigning to the fact that it is a government portal, so it will be problematic. What I'm saying is the expectation is that it should be able to hold up to the fact that more and more people are now logging into EPFO.
I fully agree with you. I think the EPFO administration, I would also try to speak to them. EPFO, the present administration must rise to the occasion and see that all the systems are in place.
Mr. Jalan, even the clarifications are also coming in a very staggered manner. So why, well, like what's going on in the backdrop, if you could help us understand? Where is the confusion? Why are we, yeah.
Preeti mentioned it in the first statement itself. We are trying to work out as to how we give you the pension, higher pension. That's I think the major problem with EPFO. I can anticipate because this circular, 2014 circular, the day it was brought by me, I had anticipated that problem in 2014 and I had brought that circular of 2014.
So, sir, it's the burden of payout that is creating all this confusion, or rather?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a burden of payout.
Or is it a confusion at all? I would like to think of it as otherwise. I would like to think EPFO is taking time to ensure that every payout is calculated. There's a perfect calculation that goes behind the payout, and therefore the circulars are taking time. But Preeti, I have to come to you at this point in time because I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of people who are hoping to opt for higher pension and hoping for some clarity. A little late there, and if this could have happened on time, perhaps there would be more clarity for all those who are waiting in line to get higher pension.
You see, the entire pension system that we're talking about, EPS, is massive, huge, loads of data, and all of us know it's publicly available information that the scheme is in deficit. I will say it is what you call an actual deficit. That means if you look at the present value of all future benefits that are likely to be paid, compare it with the present value of the future assets, there's clearly a gap. So sustainability is something that the entire scheme is grappling with as we speak, even if you keep the higher pension aside. Now, if you throw in the higher pension, it's going to be a bigger challenge because and higher pension is basically without ceiling, right? It is no limit. So you do not know who is going to be opting for it. And if you do not know who's going to be opting for it, the financial implications on the scheme itself or the fund itself is not known. So EPFO cannot just go ahead and say, okay, fine, I will pay. Who's going to be bridging the gap, because there's going to be a huge gap between what is supposed to be paid and how much money we have. And it's not just about today, because on a long-term basis, the fund should be sustainable to be able to pay the money they have promised. I think that is actually a big challenge. And I would totally agree if you look at it from the perspective of somebody who understands the longevity risk, in interest rate risks, etc., or the investment risks on a defined benefit pension. These are challenges the world over all defined benefit pensions are facing. So we are no exception to that. So I would
Right.
not like to give too much discredit to EPS at this stage, because it is in deficit and they have to figure out how to pay the money
How to
that they have promised.
bridge that deficit.
Mr. Jalan, I just have one last question. So, as we discussed in the earlier part of the conversation, that people who are in the workforce from before September 2014 can opt for the scheme. For someone like me, or someone who joined the workforce after 2014, right? So, do you think EPFO will open windows, eligibility windows later on, so that someone like me can also opt for the scheme?
Can join today.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm very interested in the scheme. I think it's a
The young
it's a
people,
you
the
can- as
young
of today,
people
you
seem
can
to be
join.
very
There is no
interested,
issue.
Mr. Jalan.
There is no issue. You can join as on today. That is why I'm
You
saying.
can join as of
As on
today.
Oh,
you
I can join as of today.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thanks
Great,
very
sir.
much for that clarity. We were hoping to get that clarity. We've been waiting to get that clarity. Mr. KK Jalan, Preeti Chandrasekhar, appreciate both of you for taking your time out and for discussing this very important issue. Remember, hordes of pensioners are hoping to avail higher pension, and they are, of course, waiting for some clarity. And clarity has come in from EPFO at this point in time. But a larger circular on how pension will be computed will be out very, very soon, and further clarity therefore on those who will be opting for higher pension.